Okay, we are live. All right, good morning, everybody. I think we'll just wait 1 or 2 minutes to allow people to enter. We're just getting ready for our presentation for the grade 12 pathways and post-secondary applications. Okay, so we've got quite a few people online now. So I just want to go through some housekeeping items. We have all our guidance counselors here who will be talking about different aspects of the post-secondary applications and the pathways that are available to you. So I ask that all comments and questions be held during the presentation. So please don't put anything in the chat or anything like that. It's just very distracting to others, and we'd like to get the information from the presentation first. Mr. Giancarelli did post a Google form for questions that we have received in advance. So we will be addressing some of those in the presentation as well. So your questions will be answered. And at the end of the presentation, if there are still questions that have not been answered and you would like to know more about it, we will open up the chat at that point. So just a few housekeeping items. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over now to start the presentation.
In the name of Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Prayer for strength and guidance. O Lord, I give you my worries and concerns, and I ask for your guidance. You see it all, the outer circumstances, the inner turmoil. I know that you understand my life, that sometimes my heart weighs heavy with trouble. Right now, I lay all these things before you. I breathe in, safe in the knowledge that I am held by grace. I breathe out, knowing that I am held secure in your arms, and I wait on you. For you are all true, you are overflowing love. You are a beacon of hope and a fortress of faith. Lord, I choose to be attentive to your voice. May I be alert to your Spirit's guiding as I journey onwards with you. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Land acknowledgement. We are gathered on the ancestral lands and waters of all Indigenous peoples who have left their footprint on Mother Earth before us. We respectfully acknowledge those who have walked on it, those who walk on it now, and future generations who have yet to walk upon it. We pray to the Creator for strength and wisdom that all may continue to serve as stewards of the earth.
Thank you, Mr. Orlandi. And now I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Giancarelli, who will be talking about the Google Classroom that has been set up.
Okay, thanks, Ms. Darmai. Thanks, Mr. Orlandi and Ms. Way for getting us started today. Wanted to welcome the grade 12s to this presentation. It is because of your outreach to us in the guidance department, to your teachers, that we're presenting some information to you today. We've been trying to share information through different means and media, and we wanted to direct your attention to those because a lot of information has been put out there that can help you. We want to make sure you're accessing it. I do want to take a few minutes to start by looking at the Google Classroom that Ms. Smith has created for us this year. So it's called the Class of 2021. If you've been following on Instagram, a lot of the posts for scholarship information, for things that are coming up has been posted in this venue. So we're often referring back to the Class of 2021 Classroom for information. And we've organized it for you. I know sometimes the stream can get quite lengthy. So we do, I think the best way to access information in the classroom is to go to classwork up at the top. And it's going to allow you to see all the different areas that we've tried to organize information by. One of the ones that's been most frequented by us as counselors putting information in is the SBA virtual visits. We've had a ton of post-secondary institutions reach out to us, and we continue to post information to this platform for upcoming events. We've had some really successful events, students joining in with universities, colleges, apprenticeship sites to ask their questions to get the information that they need. So we really encourage you to visit this classroom on a regular basis. Another important section, and one of the focuses for today, is post-secondary applications. So this is where I posted the frequently asked question form for students. I also sent it to you to your emails. If you do, after this presentation, still have more questions, feel free to submit them on that form, and we'll be sure to send out an FAQ for all students. There is a infographic here, which is going to be the focus of today's presentation. There's actually 3 of them. So just to give you an idea, Ms. Smith has created an infographic for applying to college, applying to university, and working in an apprenticeship pathway. And so what we're going to do in this presentation is go through these 3 infographics. They've got most of the information that you're going to need to go on your journey into post-secondary, and they're also going to have beyond that, they're going to have links straight to the information that you need. And of course, my tech here, I'll just go back into that class. They're going to have links to everything. So we're going to take a bunch of time to go through those today. But other useful information in here, so upcoming events. So there have been some events outside of post-secondary schools visiting us here, and we've posted information on those events. We've been posting as much as we can any relevant scholarship information that we get. Many of you have already applied to scholarships and you got the information from this site. We are very lucky that once a month we get something called the scholarship report, and it gives highlights on scholarships that are out there. So it's important that you're accessing this information. The scholarship report, it's a service that we purchase at the school to provide for you, so make sure you take advantage of that. We also, in here, much earlier in the year, Ms. Smith had created an infographic on scholarships. It's right here. So again, take the time to look through it. If you have questions, be sure to reach out to us, okay? The last one here that I'll look at, post-secondary planning. So again, what we're going to talk about today is post-secondary planning, with most of the focus being on the application process and the planning process. We'll be looking at the application infographics, but there is one specific to planning for each of the pathways as well. So make sure you check that out. Okay, so lots of information shared in a very kind of simple, easy, straightforward system. There's another important link here, the Post-Secondary Pathways Hub. This is something which you can access through the guidance page. It's the way that Ms. Smith and the guidance department had been conveying information for the last couple years. And we've moved more to the Google Classroom, but there's still so many valuable links here. So tons and tons of information. I wanted to make sure that you guys were all aware of that. And what we'll do now is, like I said, we'll focus on the application process, the planning process for each of those 3 pathways. And Ms. Way will get us started with the college pathway.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Sorry, I'm getting a call. In case you hear that in the back. Sorry. This is the infographic that Ms. Smith made for applying to Ontario colleges. I'm sorry, that phone continues to ring. So it's something to look at. Ontario College, I know that when I was in grade 12, there was no way that I was going to go to college. And after going to university, I went to college not just once, but twice for postgraduate certificates. So that helped me, assisted me with my pathway and my ultimate, first career, which was in teaching, which was in marketing and public relations. So at the end of the day, look at all your options. And that's where we're presenting all various options, whether it's college, university, or trades. So one thing is get organized. Look at what programs you have available. So have your OEN number. That's usually on your report card. So you'll go to ontariocollege.ca. Unlike university, Ontario Colleges is a one-stop shop. So when you go to this site, you'll actually see not only the programs that are available to you, but also this is where you're going to apply. So you make sure that your home address is complete and all the programs that you're applying for. You have a choice up to 5, and the easiest way to do it is electronic payment. So it could be either a Visa, if you do it by mail, it's going to take a little longer. So I'm going to bring you, to the site, which is the Ontario Colleges site. So this is, So this is where you will find all the information. So I'm going to go back to Ontario Colleges. It's literally ontariocollege.ca, and there's apply now. So right now you may or may not have an account, but when you do, you're going to create an account. So when you're in here, you will go in and say log in, or sorry, go to apply. And it'll say Canadian applicants. So this is for all our students here. You're going to create an account on the right side, and you're going to put in your legal first name. So that's what is shown on your health card and your passport. Your legal first name, like your family name, an email address, and use an email address that you normally check on a regular basis, because schools will be updating you, and an OCAS, which is Ontario College Application Service. So even though this website is called ontariocollege.ca, the application service is OCAS. So then also create a password. So create a password where you know that's memorable, that you can that's easily accessible, that and you will remember it. So put that somewhere safe, whether it's in your phone, a memory board, whatever it is that you can see that. Then you have security questions that you're going to develop yourself. There's 3 of them, and then you actually can choose which one it is. So what was your first vacation spot? You can make a custom question, like what's your favorite movie? So you have 3 of those, and put the answers to along with where you have your code, and then you'll create that. So it's good, to create that either with, either a parent or guardian or older sibling with you, so that they too might have access to this as well. So some of the things are when to apply, important dates for equal consideration. That means that everybody is given the same, everybody is given the same look at, or all colleges will look at your application at the same time. And anytime after that, after February 1st, then it's considered late. So February 1st is your absolute dead, is the day that you should apply by. So now you can start creating your application. Then you also have the earliest date of offer could be February 1st. So it's rolling acceptance. It's not early acceptance, but it's rolling acceptance as of February 1st. So you could get an offer on February 1st all the way up until May 1st. You have to confirm your offer. And remember that all offers, just like in university, are all determined by your final grades as well. So they're all conditional. So just because you get an offer doesn't mean that you can let your grades slip or anything like that. Then June 21st is your tuition deposit, and it's due at the college, and that will be determined by the individual college. So even here when you're applying, you have the dates. Your fees will actually be $95. So even here when you're going to applying, you'll see application fees. So for the price of $95 Canadian this year, you have the choice to pick up to 5 different programs. So, and no more than 3 at any one college. So say if you pick nursing, you want to go to 3 different schools, then you could pick those 3 schools plus another 2. Always use your 5 options because you have them. Why not? And post your first option first, your most ideal, and then go down the list. So you can look at programs, or if there's a college that you want, by looking at either college or programs. So say if I pick, programs, and I pick nursing as my option, you'll see a number of nursing programs throughout all Ontario. So these are all publicly funded colleges within Ontario. There's also degrees as well, applied degrees that you can also get as well at college, but they require university level courses as well. Sorry, I'm gonna learn how to spell one day. So these are all degree programs too so they have advanced honors. So there's a Bachelor of Engineering, there's General Arts. So these are degree programs that you can look at as well, and look at that as an option. And just like I said before, with my own personal life, I know that I was not gonna go to college at all when I was in grade 12. And needless to say, I went there twice, and it really helped me even become the teacher that I am today, and know some of the things that I learned through my college post-certificate. So even if college may not be on your mind right now, you can always look at college as another option, even if you go to college university first. And to look at that, you can also go to Ontario Transfer. So Ontario Transfer is another school, is another website on transfer.ca that you can look at if you're starting from university or you're going to college first, and you want to go to either from college to university or university to college. So you can always explore that. You can hit explore and then look at all your transfer options. So you could just do moving from college, moving from university. And then when you say moving from college, you pick your college and then your university, what you want to go to. You might start off at nursing at university or at college and then go to university to finish off the degree program. So there's a lot of options. And even though this site is a very awesome site that gives so many programs and so many transfer programs, even the colleges and universities themselves say there's some that aren't even listed here. So contact the schools, whether it's a university or college, contact them for more personalized questions that you may have about your own situation, about the program that you want to go to, and they can help you. And that's either, contact admissions and the registrar's office. But other than that, consider college as an option. Look at the options. Even for $95 is a great investment, just in case, you apply to university as well as college. It's just a kind of peace of mind, because it's easier at the end of the day to decline a college offer than go, oh my gosh, it's June or July and I wish I had applied for college. So if there's any questions about that, leave them in we'll address them in the Q&A. But if you still have questions or concerns, you can always book a guidance appointment and we can discuss this further. Thank you very much.
Okay, now we will move on to Miss Orlandi, who will speak about apprenticeship.
Good morning, everyone. This morning I wanted to talk to you about preparing for an apprenticeship. The wonderful thing about an apprenticeship pathway is it allows you to earn while you are learning. And it can provide you with an extremely rewarding career that's not just linear. You can branch off into other things with it as time progresses. So as you prepare for your apprenticeship, the first thing that you should look at is the 150 different skill trades that are available to you. Do your research and find out what fits you best. Have your parents check out exactly what they will need to do to help support you. The most important thing is making sure that you do have transportation and possibly assisting you in purchasing some tools and safety gear as well. Over here, when you find a career that you wouldn't trade, you take a look at it. We can see the different types of trades that both men and women can pursue. You can achieve your license while learning and earning some money. And as we look through this particular page, if I could just get onto it here. Oops, sorry. Here we go. Okay, there are a variety of different trades that are extremely interesting and potentially suit your personality and the things that you want to accomplish. There are a variety of different trades. It's really super important that you do your research so that you can find out what suits you best. Okay, let's go back here, back to the page. In the pre-apprentice training, you decide which trade that you'd like to pursue. And when you're ready to start, you can start to check out which avenue you want to achieve it from. So it's offered through a variety of different organizations like college or community agencies, and they offer basically a 52-week program with varying start dates, so that's very important. There are pre-trade courses in college that you can take a look at. It could be construction, electrical, machining, carpentry, welding, plumbing, and more. Also, to help this particular site here, if we click it, or this one. It gives you an idea of all the courses and how to get inside them. The trades, the jobs and the salaries that are offered within each one. And it gives you an opportunity to have a little bit of college experience. Over here, this is a wonderful link because it really connects employers with employees. So if you're looking for a job or you are an employer, employers will log into this, and then you can actually sort of connect yourself with a master. The most challenging part of an apprenticeship is making sure that you have a master that will work with you, because without that master, you can't earn your hours and progress forward. Okay. Another option of getting into the trades is through the OEAP program. It is a school to work program for students, and it helps you explore various apprenticeship options, especially if you're not exactly sure which apprentice you want. It's you have to take a 4-credit co-op in grade 12 here, and it connects you with a master that hopefully will you'll be able to get employment from. Now, they're not obligated to hire you at the end, but it certainly starts the networking process so that you can find someone that will take you on. So you learn, the wonderful benefits is that you earn 4 credits towards your secondary school diploma, and you get your basic one, or your level 1 basic in-class component, usually through Hungary. What's really important is that you've got to keep track of your hours. So as you're learning and learning, not only do you have to do 4 parts to achieve your license, but you also have to keep track of the hours of which you work. So before you can move on to the next level, you've got to make sure that you have the sufficient hours to move on. If your employer sees, your master sees that you are, you're ready, they may accelerate you, but you've got to prove that you know exactly what the next level is going to require before they'll take a risk and enroll you into the next course. You receive wonderful trade-specific knowledge and healthy safety training on the job. You move directly after graduation and you continue your apprenticeship. Post-secondary costs, well, like I mentioned, you earn while you learn, but a lot of that money is going to go towards perhaps your transportation, your vehicle, and potentially some equipment that you're going to need, not to mention your safety gear, which is super important. Start an essential working career on equal footing with colleges and universities, because at the end of the day, it's going to take you about 4 years to complete your license. Now, I mentioned earlier, if you wanted to have that college experience, there are programs that are available at different colleges, and they run for about 2 years. You get a diploma and some apprenticeship requirements towards your certification. It really does depend on the program that you enroll in. You still need to complete the remaining 4 levels in order to get to the end. And so, so as we move on, there's a beautiful timeline here that sort of sets the pace of which you have to go through in order to complete and get your licensed journey person certificate. Okay, so now, okay, so at this point here, I'm going to, I did want to mention one last thing. At the end, when you complete your level 3, level 4 is usually tagged on to it as well, which again, depending on the trade that you go into, but what is important is that you will achieve your red seal. And what that red seal allows you to do is to become a licensed master of your trade so that you can work anywhere within Canada. So that's an important piece that that has been sort of tagged on to your licensing. So thank you. And if you have any other further questions, please put them in the comment box.
Thank you, Mr. Landy. We will now move to Mr. Giancarelli, who will give us some information on the university pathway.
Hey, hi guys. I just wanted to give you a little glimpse into what the infographic looks like there. So lots of information, really easily organized. let's take a closer look. So applying to universities, first and foremost, we've been getting a ton of questions about which application. It's the 101 application. Anyone that is a current high school student will use the 101 application. If you are graduating at the end of the first 2 quads or even the first quad, technically some of you will be done all your courses before quad 4 even starts, you're still considered a full-time high school student for this year. Okay, so you will use the 101 application if you're in high school this year. Important dates, important information. Let's start right at the top here. Equal consideration date is January 15th. This is the most important date that you need to know and remember. Your applications need to be finalized by this date. Equal consideration means that anyone who has applied by that date will be given a fair shot at any program they've applied to. You may hear from some friends that they've given acceptance to a program before this date, and that's because of something called rolling admissions. But rest assured that if you are just as good of a candidate, you will not be penalized for not having your application in earlier than this date. Okay, they cannot penalize you for not submitting before January 15th. So really, really important date. Step 1, so we're going to get organized. This is your planning process. This should honestly have been going on since at least last year in some capacity, but it's never too late. You've got a lot of time right now to get organized. You want to start by gathering all the material you're going to require to start an application. And some of the start is starting your planning, but we'll get to that in a second. So the first thing you need is your OUAC PIN. You are receiving a letter in the mail. I know some of you have already received that because you've come down to the office to ask what it was and how to use it. The OUAC has committed to making sure every student has their PIN by the end of November. They are coming through the mail, so you should be receiving it very shortly if you have not done so, if you've not received it already. Okay, if you have a concern next week because you still haven't received it and you want to check with someone, please do send someone an email here in the office, your guidance counselor, myself, come and see Ms. Malik. But please, no need to panic. They will all get out to you. Okay, so PIN number is first and foremost. Your school MIDENT number. This is information that's required on the application. I believe it does come on the PIN letter, but if not, we can easily provide you with this information. And then this is where the planning comes in, a list of the programs that you plan to apply to. So OUAC provides a code for each program. And the best way to do your research, which we would have talked to you about this in the careers class, is through the Ontario University's info site. So I'm going to just open up a tab. We'll take a quick look at this together. Again, most of you have probably seen this if you're thinking of university as a pathway. Lots of information, lots of ways to search for it. So you can look at a program of interest. You can search by university, or you can search by key term, right? So these are the 3 different options you have for searching for a program of interest. There's also information on how to finance your schooling. A lot of you ask questions about how do I pay for school, scholarship opportunities, other opportunities. So there's tons of stuff right here for you, okay? Information on the application, what you need to know, we're talking about that today. But let's just take a look at really quickly how to search for a program and get that piece of information that you need. So if you go by program, it will organize it alphabetically into all the available programs in a certain discipline. Okay, so we want to look at social sciences, so many programs in this area. So if we click on social sciences, you've got all your options listed alphabetically, and you'll notice that you're seeing these little 3-digit codes. Sometimes they're 2 digits. That is the code for the program. So if we want to look at anthropology at Trent University and get some more information, click on the program. Okay, this is the research part. We get to know a little bit about the program. So all your key information is on this page in terms of your decision making. So the school is Trent University. The program is a Bachelor of Arts. The program code, so these 3 digits, is what you enter into OUAC for your application. So I want to apply to this program. I've got to jot down the code. It's RAA, and that means I'm applying to a Bachelor of Arts through Trent University in anthropology. In terms of other information that they're going to tell you about this program, well, the enrollment is 200. So they accept up to 200 students in this program. Not a small program, but also not a large program. So there, some competition to get in. It will tell you the grade range, minimum of 70%. So when we talk about grade range, the schools are referring to your grades in your best 6 grade 12 U or M courses. Okay, so you need to submit your top 6 marks. Now, those top 6 marks are not always your choice. They are based on the requirements of the program. So if we click on requirements, we'll see that in this case, the only prerequisites are that you have 6 U or M and that one of those 6 be English with a minimum mark of 60. So as long as you're taking grade 12 English and you earn a 60, they will look at your next best 5 grade 12 marks in a U or M course. And as far as the overview goes, they're targeting an average within those 6 courses of 70%. So if you meet those criteria, this is a program, if it interests you, that you can apply to. If you think those criteria might be a little bit challenging, it doesn't mean you shouldn't apply to the school, but it may be important to look at other options, other opportunities for a post-secondary pathway. Okay, so really, really easy to use this site. It also gives you the ability to go into the university site or the program site for more information. There's also ways to favorite this program and compare it to other programs down the road. Another way to search is universities themselves. So if there is a specific school you'd like to go to, let's say that it's important that you stay close to home, that's a consideration. Well, then you may be looking at some of the schools locally here. So you've got University of Toronto, you've got York University, you've got University of Toronto Scarborough, Ryerson. So you have lots of local schools. McMaster, just because it has such a beautiful campus, is always the one I kind of go to. I didn't go to McMaster, but when you look at the schools themselves, you can search by program. You can take virtual tours. If we want to look more at the program information. So if we take a look, I want to show you guys a different pathway. So if we look at a health sciences pathway, for example, okay, and when we look at the programs, of course, it's not going to show me what I want here, but let's go back. I want to show you guys just really quickly the difference in terms of when you're looking at a program that has more stringent requirements, okay? So we looked at one where the only requirement was English, but if you are looking at science programs, business programs, they often will have additional requirements. So animal biology here at Guelph, when you look at your requirements, now your top 6 becomes a little bit more, not complicated, but it takes a little bit more planning for it. So if you wanted to apply to this program, not only would you have to take your grade 12 English, you're also going to need your advanced functions and any 2 from this list of biochem and physics, okay? Plus an additional 2 to get to your 6 U or M. So they're always going to tell you what's required. If you don't have the requirements, you cannot apply to the program, okay? Sometimes they'll list courses that they recommend, and that really means that you're going to be faced with these types of subject areas in the program. And if you don't have these courses, you are going to be at a bit of a disadvantage. Can you apply and still get in? Yes. Okay, because they're not required. They're not prerequisites. But if they're recommended, it's strongly encouraged that you take those. Okay, we'll go back to this infographic. So lots of information there. We did put a link in here to OUAC, so that'll take you right to the application page. Lots of information on there, and you can start your application right from there. The second point here that I want to run through is the how-to material. So clicking on this here, which I'm not going to spend any time on it with you, I want you to do this on your own. There are videos that are going to show you exactly how to apply to your program in OUAC. So any questions you might have, they've created a how-to video, whether it's the initial application, making a change, switching programs, all that information is in there. You can make changes to your application as long as you've submitted it with payment. Okay, the cost for university applications is $150. As long as you've submitted that and they've received your payment, you can make changes to your initial choices up until that equal consideration date of January 15th. Any changes you make after that date, you're now at the bottom of the pile, okay? You're no longer being considered equally. Speaking of dates, we have a link here to important dates on the OUAC calendar, okay? So a lot of these dates this year are a little bit questionable in terms of every school in Ontario is potentially using a slightly different system with mark reporting. It's not as in line as it is most years. So what you need to know is the first day that marks will be received at the university is November 27th. For our school board, they'll be receiving your quad 1 marks, and I believe that's consistent with most high schools at this point. So they're going to be receiving your quad 1 marks. For students that are in a part of Ontario that is not in a quad system, they'll be receiving midterm marks for courses. Okay, so we don't really need to worry about all these particulars because I think the universities are still kind of struggling with exactly how they're going to work it. This site, for example, yesterday of important dates was not up and running. It had been temporarily pulled down. Okay, so important to know, marks are going up now. It'll be the first time you see any information in OUAC. It'll be based on the courses you're scheduled in right now, whether you've started them or not. All the courses you're scheduled in for the year will come up on OUAC, and there'll be marks in there for your quad 1 courses which are completed or which are completing today. Okay. The next important date there, we already talked about January 15th, that equal consideration date. Make sure your applications are finalized by this date. Up until this date, you can make changes. January 21st, this is the target date for your applications to get to OUAC. Not important to you. Important here is these dates in February. So February 25th will be the next time that information is transferred to OUAC. So why this is important is it gives you insight into the marks that they're going to have when they start making decisions on your entry into the program. They're going to have your quad 1 marks final. They're going to have your quad 2 marks finalized. And they're going to have whatever information you've listed in OUAC and uploaded. This includes your community service hours. If you haven't gotten community service hours into the school by this date, I guess February the 11th, OUAC will not know about it. It doesn't mean that you have a huge problem, but they only update what's in our systems on certain dates. So make sure your community service hours are in. They will see that. They'll see your application details. They'll see your quad 1 and 2 marks. What they're going to do from there is they are going to make a decision and let you know by May 27th if you are receiving entry into the program. Entry this year, we'll look at COVID updates later, but essentially they're going to be doing rolling admissions. They're going to give students as much opportunity as they can, but in some cases, they will be looking at grade 12 and grade 11 marks for those offers. As Ms. Way mentioned earlier, there are conditions on offers. In other words, there are certain marks that may need to be maintained, as is the case most years. So don't worry too much if your grade 11 marks aren't stellar. They will be taking into consideration that you're taking the course again in grade 12. Okay. Someone had asked about applying to universities outside of Ontario. There is a link here with information. Please check it out. There are a few schools in the East Coast, also McGill, which follow the OUAC application, but any other schools, you need to visit them independently to see how their application process works. There was also a question that was asked about ordering transcripts, and you don't need transcripts if you're applying to a school in Ontario or one of the schools that's part of the Ontario system. But any schools that you apply to outside of the province that are not part of OUAC, you need to look at their application process. It will probably ask that you send in transcripts, which you can order from the school. Okay, you can order them from the website, and Ms. Malik will prepare them for you. First time you use your login, you'll need to create your OUAC account. PIN numbers is where you'll do that from. Make sure your username and password, you don't lose them. We typically wouldn't ask you to write down and save a password in this way for security, but make sure you find a way to keep your password secure and that you don't forget it. Okay. Number 4, completing your application. Working your way through the application section by section. Again, there are how-to videos. So if any of this is, I'm not going to go through every step, but if any of it confuses you, watch the video, go into the application, go back to the video if you missed a step, okay, and make sure you you do it properly. Things to know of importance. So I mentioned earlier, it's $150 to apply to 3 programs. You can only apply to a maximum of 3 programs at one university. So there's no limit on how many programs you can apply to in total. But if there are 5 programs at York University that really interest you, you'll have to narrow it down to 3, because that's the maximum number of applications at one school. Okay. You need to also be aware that some schools will automatically consider you for other programs. So if you are thinking of 5 programs, but you can only apply to 3, a lot of times one program, if it's really hard to get into, they may provide alternate programs to a program that's much easier to have entry into. So it's important that you connect with admissions department, you connect with someone at one of the virtual open houses and ask those questions, because you may not need to apply to a program if entry is automatically considered based on a different application. Okay, each school will be able to provide you with those details. Make your phone calls to the admissions, make them as early as possible. Today is not too early, because the closer you get to January 15th, the longer the wait times will be, the harder it will be to speak to someone. Okay, on the right here, it says choice order does not matter unless the university specifically states that it does. So in most cases, you don't need to rank your programs from 1 to 3 or 1 to 5 or 1 to 6 or whatever number you apply to. However, there are some universities which will state, if we are not your first choice, you will not be considered. So please look over all that information. It's on the information page that we looked at earlier, the link I showed you, or it's on the program page, which is linked through here. So look at your schools really, really closely. Schools like Waterloo, University of Toronto, Queen's, they tend to have more stringent rules, okay? Submit, verify, and pay. So as mentioned, $150 for up to 3 choices. You can choose more, and it is $50 per choice. Students often want to apply to a number of programs. I think if you've done your research, you're probably safe to apply to between 3 and 5 schools, although we have students apply in excess of 10 programs each year, which is really too many. If you've narrowed down your search, 3 to 5 should be a good number. I would always recommend when you're applying to schools, you want to apply to your dream program at your dream school, definitely. But if you have any concerns that you may not be able to meet that grade range and the required choices, then I also think you need to apply to a school that has grades that are in a very realistic range for you, that you can definitely get into, and you would still be happy at that school. Okay, so really important when you're making your decisions. Payments, make sure you've got your payment done, otherwise you won't be able to make any changes to your application. Okay, there is a link here to COVID updates. So this is something you want to check frequently because they're making changes all the time. And they're also giving you a link here to each specific school in terms of their COVID policies and what changes they're making. Okay, so they are talking here about being sensitive to what's going on and giving students every opportunity that they can to prove themselves for this year especially. Okay, if you have issues or questions, please book a guidance appointment. We have a link here. Not sure, I'm getting a bit of feedback. We have a link here so you can book a guidance appointment. You can also order transcripts from the guidance page. So make sure that if you need to order a transcript, that you follow this link and you can order that transcript for out of province schools or for scholarship opportunities. Okay. Anything else on here? OSAP, there were some questions about OSAP. The big things that are important to know if you're applying to college, click on the OSAP link, apply for OSAP. It doesn't cost you anything to apply, and you may get some money out of it. There's in the past been grant money and bursaries, but also loans. So you get a combination typically of a grant and a loan. I'm not sure where it's at this year. There's been changes to the program, changes every year it seems like, but it could be free money coming your way, so it's worth it to apply. For students applying to university, there is a way to link your application to OSAP, and if you click here, you'll see more information on how to link that. Okay, I think I've covered all the information that we really wanted to highlight. I also, again, tried to answer some of the questions you asked, but there are some that we will get to now. So if you have questions, if you would like to ask your questions, I think now we'll have an opportunity to do that. Thanks for your time, everyone.
Okay, thank you, everybody. If there are specific questions that you have, so you do have a couple of options. One is you can email your guidance counselor, or you can make an appointment. And if they're more general type of questions, you feel free to type it in the chat, and we will see if we can answer them right now.
Guys, actually, rather than email, it might be easiest to just put them in the Google form because it's still open. So it'll be easy for me to sort them, and then we can do an FAQ page by the end of the week if we need to.
Okay, so we do have a question coming up. And the question, I will post it on the screen once I get it into the stream. But the question says, how does it work when courses you need to apply for a specific program are in your last quad?
Okay, so for grade 12s applying to university, this is a concern. The guidance counselors have raised the concern on a provincial level to make sure that you're treated fairly. So as I said, those dates, those questions were being updated yesterday. So the universities are taking into consideration that they want to be fair because schools are working on different systems. But as of right now, if you are applying to school that requires, for example, grade 12 English, which they all do, and you don't have grade 12 English until the last quad, as long as it's on your timetable, it will show an OUAC that you plan to take the course, and they will understand that you have all the requirements for the program. Having said that, they may need to look at your grade 12 marks as a way of predicting where your marks will be. So some consideration will go to your grade 11 marks this year, more so than most years.
Thank you. So the next question we have is co-op a good choice to do in university?
Miss Wade.
Hi, sorry, I'll answer this one. Oh, sorry. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Sorry, Mr. Jack.
I saw you.
It is a good. Sorry, it is a good opportunity to do co-op. Thank you, Melissa, for your question. It is a good opportunity to do in university, but also realize too that also there's opportunities like summer jobs, things like that. They can also enhance your post-secondary education and when you're applying for jobs in your career once you graduate from post-secondary. So yes, they're good options. Even both college and universities have co-op, but they also have internships. So make use to also talk to the summer job offices at your schools, and they can offer you opportunities for summer job just in case you don't get into co-op, because sometimes co-op programs are more competitive. But don't be discouraged if you do not get into one. There's also opportunities, but it is experience that you're not going to get in the regular classroom.
All right, so we actually have two questions related to volunteer hours, one from Tanea and one from Aiden, and it asks, has there been any updates for volunteer hours, and how do we submit them?
So I think, if I'm not mistaken, Ms. Darmay, there was something posted in the newsletter a few weeks ago about updates to the volunteer hours. So they have updated them again with some considerations for this year. So they have reduced it to 20 hours in total for this year only, for this year's graduates. And if you're having trouble getting to 20 hours, please reach out to one of your guidance counselors, or if you're more comfortable, your vice principal, and we can kind of guide you to that and help direct you to how to get those hours. They've also changed some of the parameters. It's much more flexible in terms of how you can earn your hours. Please reach out to us, refer to that newsletter. And yeah, there's a lot more flexibility this year for sure.
Okay, we have a question from Daniel. If we want to apply to med school in the future, how do we apply for the different courses we need to take?
So with med school, just like every other program, you can take a look at the requirements for med school. You will see there's very few programs in Ontario. If you're looking abroad, you'll need to look at specific schools from each province or country. But some of the requirements are not as stringent as you would think. And there are schools that have almost no academic requirements to apply to. So do your research on those programs but you will have opportunities regardless of what undergraduate degree you study to apply to a medical school. It obviously would help if you've studied bio, chemistry, and physics and math.
Sorry, I just want to go back. I'm not sure if we answered this part of the volunteer hours. If you go to the student hub or even on the guidance pages, there are links to the community service hours card that we use. So you can either download it. If you're in cohort A or B, you can actually come to the main office and pick one up. You get it filled out, you get the signatures that you need, and you simply hand them into the main office, and then we update your record there. Okay, we have a question about how do we apply for a double major?
Sorry. For a double major, look at the school that you're applying to, because you want to apply to your main subject area that you're going to actually do your programming. So also contact the schools just in case as well, and ask them, these are the two majors that I'm looking for, and they might say, apply to the one that's more competitive. Say, for example, if you want to do a major in business and English, they might say apply to business first, and then you can add English later. So contact the schools and ask them exactly, like, this is what I want to do. These are the two programs that I'm looking at. Which one should I apply to first? And you can email them or call them, but it's always like the registrars or admissions office. You contact and ask them these questions, and they can give you specific details as to what to do and what program to apply to.
Okay, so now we have actually 3 questions that are all related, so I think we could probably answer them all in one. So how would we submit supplementary applications for programs that need a portfolio? When should we submit those by? And how do we submit non-academic requirements? So it's all around supplemental applications.
So with the supplemental, the schools themselves will let you know. So once you've put the application into OUAC and you've let them know that you are hoping to be considered, they will pass along information. So for example, Queens has had a personal statement of experience for the last few years. You won't get access to that and the ability to submit it until you have in fact completed your application. If you're applying to OCAD, they list their portfolio requirements on their website. You can check those out right now, and it includes dates as well. So the information will come directly from the universities. In some cases, you're seeking it out. In other cases, it's not available to you until you've applied. Okay? OCAD portfolios are the ones where you should really get ahead of. The other stuff, they'll inform you. You need a school account before you can submit. So you need to apply there. They give you a school account, you submit.
Okay, the next question is, do you have to put your application in earlier to be considered for early acceptance?
Yeah, so you don't, as stated earlier, as long as you've applied by January 15th, you've met the requirements, okay? There are what's called rolling acceptances, and that just means schools have gotten in the habit of making offers on an ongoing basis for candidates that they feel are a good fit. They always come with conditions when they're early offers, which means you've got to maintain your marks. If you had amazing marks in grade 11, you need to maintain amazing marks for grade 12. So there's no date for early acceptance. It's a rolling acceptance period. So just get your applications in when you're confident that they're ready. But January 15th is the deadline.
Okay, how do applications for majoring and minoring work?
So I think similar to what Ms. Way had said earlier, and so to echo what Ms. Way said, what I usually try and remind you guys is all the schools would love to have you and collect your tuition check if you meet their requirements. So they are going to work hard to make the programs accessible to you. In other words, call their admissions department. They're going to give you all the information that you need because they really want you at their school. This goes for now and for later. If you go to university or college and you have competitive marks and you want to transfer into a program, you'll have those opportunities because all of these institutions would love to have you as their students. So please reach out to them with all your specific questions because they're in the best position to not only answer them, but let you know if there is another program that's available which can also serve that same purpose or maybe even be a better fit for you because they're going to work really hard for you guys. So please make those calls.
And often, after your first year at university, they do give you an opportunity in second year to pick up a minor, and they'll clearly lay out the courses that you need for it and whether you were interested in pursuing it as well. So you don't have to make that decision right away. You have time to make it after first year because, like Mr. G said, they'd love to have you. Then they want you to stay. If it means you stay an extra year, it's a bonus for them too.
Okay, does tuition for double majors typically cost more?
Tuition fees are pretty consistently based on how many courses you're taking. And then specialty programs will be much more expensive. So certain MBA programs, certain schools, medical school, law school, much more expensive. But typically courses are a set fee per course. And so you're paying for the number of credits you're earning.
Okay, and we are looking for some scholarship information. Where can students find out which scholarships they can apply to?
So I think we touched on this too, right? Lots of information in the Google Classroom. There's a whole section on scholarships. The scholarship report, there's 3 issues in there, one for each month of the school year so far. There is YConic. I forgot to mention this earlier. Someone had asked about how do I find scholarships that are specific to me? There's a link to YConic in Google Classroom. It has you create a profile of yourself and the type of student or in person you are, and then it tries to fit scholarship to you, to who you are, to what you excel at, to what your needs are. So go into Google Classroom, look at the scholarship tab. We've been trying to put a ton of information in there for you.
Okay, how do universities know that you have taken AP exams this year?
Ms. Dharma, maybe this is a question for you.
Sure. Sorry, I didn't want to jump in there. Yes, so when you are taking the AP exam, at the time of writing the exam, there will be a question posed to you by the college board, not by the school board and not by the university. So the college board will ask whether or not you want your AP scores to be released to the universities. So you have the decision whether or not you want to send that information to the schools.
And just because there was another question that came in and we didn't address related to AP, someone had asked about, do universities know you've taken AP courses? So universities get your transcript information, which has a full course code. So whatever course code is on your transcript, so yes, if it ends in a Y, they will know it's an AP course. If it ends in a different numeral, they'll know if it's a private school course or a night school course or a summer school course, and all that information could be considered important depending on the school and the program. Some of the programs are very stringent. Most are not. Most don't differentiate between a summer school mark and a grade school mark. Most don't differentiate between a first attempt and a repeated attempt. In other words, I took the course again for a better mark. But there are some programs which are very, very stringent. So you need to know that information so that you're not penalized.
Okay, and the next question is, are all first years the same for a program? Sabrin was wondering if they attended a local university for the first year, could they transfer to somewhere abroad for the following years?
So like other schools, equivalencies are done. So the new university will look at the courses that you've taken and then align it with the stuff that they want to see and will give credit for and tell you what the credit count would be based on what you've already accomplished.
Okay, thank you. So I'm just looking at the time, and so I'm going to filter through some of the remaining questions, but please don't take that as we will address your questions. We just won't do it on the live stream here. So Gabriella has a question around timetable changes because there is a concern about what if I have a specific course in the last quad, then they're going to look at my grade 11 courses. So if you have a specific question around shifting anything in your timetable, you will need to make it a guidance appointment for that because we have to see what's available. I will warn you right now that most of our classes are jam-packed and there's not a lot of movement available, but that is why you do need to make an individual appointment with your guidance counselor to get that specific information.
And also just remember, most high schools in the GTA are in the exact same position. Most students are going to have 2 courses in the 4th quad. It's just the reality. So universities are going to make decisions that make sense for students. Okay.
Okay, there's a question from Yongwon Kim, which again will be a question that you need to pose to your individual guidance counselor, and it's simply about an option not showing up on UAC, even though the university site says that. So we'll have to look into that individually. Okay, the next general question is, will universities be looking or accepting students who take 1 or 2 college courses, but the majority of courses are university courses?
Yes, as long as you've taken 6, you're in and you meet the prerequisites, including English, you're good.
Okay, and the last question that we have is, do universities see if you drop a course, even a course that is not needed for the program?
So we had sent out information on the drop deadlines. So if you drop a course before midterms, then there is no, the universities don't see it. If you continue in a course till 5 days past midterm, and again, we sent all those dates out through the newsletter, then the program does show as withdrawn on your transcript. And every school makes their own decisions on how valuable they see that information. Again, for the majority of programs, it's not a huge deal.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for participating today. That seems to be the end of the general questions. And again, please, if there is something that you want to know and feel that you don't have a good understanding of it, please reach out to your individual counselors. Again, the Google form is still open where you can still ask questions. And we will be following this, taking this stream and posting it in the classroom so that you can review and take a look. And all the infographics that were presented today by all of our wonderful guidance counselors are in your Google Classroom. So I'd like to thank all of you for your participation today. We are here to help you through this process. I know it's a little bit overwhelming, especially during this COVID year, but we are very creative and we will find ways to help you out, whether it be virtually, or if you come in your cohort A or B, we will figure out a way to get you through this process. So no need to worry. Thank you, everybody, and have a wonderful rest of the day.
Have a good weekend.
Enjoy.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.